Hello again, Andy with Handy Andy Handyman, Handy Andy on Demand, and welcome to a project run through over in Kennesaw. As you've seen from our videos, we bounce all over the place, and I have a real love for cedar sided homes. And the thing that's baffling to me is every time I see customers like these folks here, it amazes me how many contractors will come out and tell these homeowners that their siding is terrible and they need to replace all of it. They obviously have some maintenance stuff to do on the house, but it's a great house. It's got great bones. Cedar siding is your best natural siding, and it'll hold up to almost anything. You've got a little green mold over here just because the house doesn't get a lot of sun in this area here. They're going to end up doing a bunch of stuff with us. New gutters is something that we use one of our own vendors for, and so they'll end up using our guys at cost. We won't make any money on the gutters, but it's a great house. There's a number of repairs to do around the house, and we'll kind of walk you through these. So you can kind of see, we talk about this a lot in our videos. Someone put some kick out flashing right here. It's actually step flashing, but there's a piece missing right here at the very edge of the gutter. And you want that flashing to bridge the top of the gutter and keep the water from getting in. So they've got a few issues here because this gutter, and we'll talk about this real quickly, you can see inside that gutter up there is a product called gutter stuffer. Don't buy this stuff. It really doesn't work. You can use it, but you're still gonna have to clean your gutters. And this gutter clogs so much that the weight of the water and the debris in the gutter just ripped it off the house. Those are spikes. Nails are temporary. They'll rot around the wood, and we use hidden hanger screws for that reason. Just remember that screw is forever, nail is temporary. Whenever you see this kind of debris pattern across the front of your gutters, it just lets you know that everything's coming over the top. And so the kick out flashing is an issue here all the time. So we'll end up replacing a couple pieces in this corner right down here, and the water splashes down. Most of their cedar is really good. And then on the left side here, they've got the same issue. A few pieces on this side need to be replaced. The other issue on the house we have, it's gonna be hard to see it, but where they have this downspout, no one ever caulked behind it. So any water that comes down from above in this area, it gets in behind the downspout. So if you can kind of see, if you look in this crack right there, you can kind of see the shadow right there. There you go. It's wide open. So every time the water comes down through this area, it wicks in behind the wood and is getting into their basement area down here. Some of their corner boards have been replaced. There's some areas on the house. A lot of these guys in Cobb County and Cherokee County, when they trimmed out these cedar houses, they didn't cut the siding and inset their corner pieces or their corner boards. And so in certain areas, you need to caulk in here. Here is protected by the soffit above, so we're not really worried about it. But in other areas, like out here, before they bought the house, this owner had a bunch of rot out here, so he cut it and put 2x4s in here to seal that gap. All the siding through here is good. The homeowner would like to change this old railing out, and so we can do that. So the guys would be changing this railing here and all the way up through. We suggested if they stay in the house long term that they might go ahead and expand this area. They have such a great yard out here. We could build them a deck in this area, but that's not part of the scope here. She would like to change these posts when we do the railing from 4x4s to 6x6s and get rid of the cross braces for support. You can see in the cedar houses, it's kind of hard to see it, but they've never been really caulked very well. See all those shadow lines between the butt joints in here and up at the top? So all those need to be caulked. We would hand paint this house. Actually, this house was stained. Another thing you'll see on these houses, if you're out getting new windows, don't necessarily do it. And then all these window companies will sell you, they'll just include it or a little upcharge. They'll wrap your trim. See the cedar trim down here? They'll wrap it with aluminum to give you a better looking finish. And it looks good while the windows are fairly new, but over time, the wood underneath is gonna dry rot. So don't do that. It's not advisable. They've got 5-inch gutters on this house and they really need 6s. And again, you can see the debris pattern here. So many of our homeowners, you know, it's hot in Georgia. They come home, they go inside, they're not walking around the outside of their house. A lot of this stuff is stitch in time saves 9. So if you can stay on top of it, that's gonna be your best bet, and then partner with people like us to get it done. They got a few boards on the cedar siding right here, again, because it wasn't caulked well, that need to be replaced down here. We would actually replace these corner boards. The 2x4s are rotted in a lot of places. Kind of hard to see it, but when you see this kind of checking and divots in the wood, like here, it just lets you know that it's rotted. But overall, their cedar's in great shape. The guys will fill like little knot holes like here. That actually looks like a bore bee hole. And the repair things you're looking for, this has been repaired before, and you can see they did a weather cut up here, but it's a little too deep. It should be a 45-degree angle right there. And our guys will fix that. There's a few boards up towards the top, right at the roof line. See this one right here? There's like 3 boards right here at the roof line on either side that are rotted that we'll replace. But the rest of the siding is in awesome shape, and it's so, I don't know, it's disgusting to me that contractors will come out here and try to pressure people into a $30,000, $40,000 sale, and they don't need that. But that's what happens, and they'll usually do it with financing. They'll say, well, it's only so much a month. Now see here, they put the angle cut, but it's backwards, so it's actually, I'll pull my finger away so it'll focus again, the camera, and you'll see how it's directed into the chimney chase and causing rot. And then again, you get those 3 boards up there. There may be a few more on the other side when the guys get up on the roof line. And he's got this great screen porch back here. It's awesome. Like this, I'd be hanging out here every day, but he doesn't want to hang out here because this is what he's looking at. So he's going to go ahead and rip out this deck back here with some buddies, and then we'll come back and build him a new one. We're going to replace this rotted siding right here, this bottom row across here. He's got a few rotted pieces here. In the back of the chimney, I didn't really capture it from the front. We'll catch it when we go back through, but all the back of the chimney, there we're actually going to go ahead and replace it with cedar mill hardy plank, just because it gets so much weather up there. We talk about this all the time. These gutter corners are made on site by the installers, and you can see the gap underneath it, so it's leaked for years. Nothing wrong with having those corners like that, but you need to seal them every 5 years, and no one's known to do that. So we got a little bit of rotted framing action in here that the guys have to repair. This soffit and this is fascia. Fascia is what the gutter sits against. Soffit is the underside. But overall, believe it or not, this house is in great shape. So here on this deck area, we're going to go ahead and square this up. So we'll build out a similar platform like he's got here. And actually, we talked to the homeowner about it. This is old growth, pressure treated wood with arsenic in it. This stuff will last forever. It's almost on the ground. So we're going to save this stuff because anything I buy today isn't anywhere near as good as this stuff. The decking on top is pretty shot, so that can go. But we'll level it off and we'll square it up with this corner right here. And then he can come back and put a stamped concrete piece in here. We can refurb somebody. And then over here, we're going to tear this deck off and come back in and build it out to midway between these 2 windows and run the stairs over here so that we're not impeding too much of the light into the basement area. And then they'll have a nice deck off the master bedroom, which is here. And this will be an amazing backyard once they're done. Before they bought this house, there was somebody who was a botanist or really into plants or something. And you can see this whole yard was really heavily landscaped, and they just haven't kept up with it. We'll come back to deal with this piece when we come do the deck. We'll do this in stages. You can see what happens if you don't think through your designs. This door isn't that old, and you can see where it's totally rotted, the frame and the molding right there. And it's because of this design flaw up here. If you come over the roof line, every time it rains, and they have a very small diverter there, they need a larger diverter up on the roof line further up here to divert it towards the front and out of this creek, because the water's just running through here. So they've got 12 rows. All the siding right here is rotted all the way through, including these few pieces up here. But overall, the house, believe it or not, is in great shape. The other issues that we have with all of this stuff, and it just makes me mad. So you look at, and I won't say the company that did this, but it's a name remodeler here in Atlanta, does a ton of stuff, mostly with financing. Excuse me. They did these windows. So you can see the slop flashing on the end. See where they put the caulk here? So they put this aluminum trim around the original wooden cedar brick mold, but the flashing should be out here. So any rain that gets behind here, guess where it's going? In behind the windows. See the gap in the caulk all the way down through? And it's the same thing on the other window. So when you have flashing over a window, it should extend 3/4 of an inch, 1.5 inches beyond the outside edge of the trim, and it doesn't. You can see what they did with this door. Same company put this door in, no flashing at all, and they just stuck it in there and left it. And of course didn't caulk anything. So you can see the edges right here. See how they're wide open? No caulk. So this is why I love cedar. You can literally ignore cedar for 25 years and you'll still have decent siding if you stay up on it. And what we try to encourage customers to do is, look, it's painful to pay us to come out here and redo this whole thing for you. But if you do it in stages, so once we get a baseline on the house, we can come back and restain a section of your house every year. That way you're always up on your maintenance. It's not killing the bank when you're doing it. And your house will look good. Most of the siding is good back here. On the bottom edge here, down here, this bottom row, we'll place that row all the way across with hardy plank. And there's a little bit of rot. We'll see if we can get it here. Back, right here. This fascia board on the corner, you can see it's rotted out through. And then we'll go around the front. We need to catch a couple other things, but I love these old houses, and it's really hard to find contractors that'll work with cedar. We see so many things. We're going to show you something on another house today that we're coming back to do some work for the homeowner. She's been with us a few years now. You know, what you pay for in contractors is the quality of the materials. There's different grades of wood. There's different grades of siding. So many times we go out on projects that we've been bid against on hardy plank siding, and someone's cheaper than us, which, you know, that's going to happen. But then you look at the materials and they've used Nishihana, which is $2 a board cheaper than hardy plank. Doesn't sound like a lot, but it adds up. Does add up. The good thing about working with Handy Andy is we're a relationship business. If you're just patient with us, we'll come help you out at 2 o'clock in the morning. We don't care. It's part of a family. People bake us cookies. They feed our guys. It's been crazy over the 27 years how many friends we've made in this business. So they didn't have a lot to do on the side here. Most of this stuff is in good shape. They've got a little bit of rot right here around this door, I think. And this is a fairly new door. And then on the right side right here, it's going to be hard to see it, but back in this far corner, they've got animals been getting in this back corner back here. So we'll take care of that as well. And then we'll give them a price. We're actually going to give them a price to redo a bathroom in the house and some other things. You can see a lot of the older style building. So here they had drip cap up here above the window, but you see the gap. I don't know if I can hold the camera well enough. See the corner right here? You can see the water's getting in here. And this is what you're looking for on your own house. See the failed caulk, the black lines here at the window? And so what happens with most contractors, if they're painting this piece of brick mold, they only paint the two pieces, the faces that you see, this piece and this piece. That bottom edge is raw wood. So if the caulk, that was never caulked. It's never been caulked. It was caulked with paint. Same with this side right here. This is all the stuff that starts costing you money. When we replace pieces like this, first of all, don't use PVC. If this is a vinyl piece of trim, it's never going to rot to let you know you have a problem. If you've already done it, live with it. But if you're being talked into something maintenance-free by a guy like me, just shake hands and walk away. You don't want that project. But my guys will angle cut a rotted piece like this, piece it in, and back prime and seal everything on all the edges. So we've been out here for 27 years. Hard to believe it. We pretty much do everything. I'm at 770-912-2829. Andy with Handy Andy. See you at the next house. Bye for now.